I always hear everyone talking about how to take spin off your driver, but how do you add spin?
I think first off, you need to be clear on what you do want to add. And is it spin or is it launch? You know, careful what you wish for, because the spin will rob you potentially of a little bit of distance, maybe. So if you can get that launch up, that might be a better way of going. Good starting point would simply be static loft. So increasing the static loft, just to increase that dynamic loft, that should help with both. That should help get launch and spin back up. So another way of doing that would be shaft profile. So toying about with potentially something with a slightly softer tip, again, depending on where you release the club in the swing, but something with a slightly softer tip section might add a little bit of kick, add that dynamic loft and get it up in the air. If you are adamant it's spin and you want to look at increasing the spin, then potentially have a look at strike location. So my hunch on what he's talking about there with his delivery conditions is his strike location might be quite high in the face. And if it's high in the face, he's going to get reasonable amount of launch, but as he said, just falling out of the sky with very little spin. So is there an option there to try and move that strike location lower, which you can do through a couple of ways? We can toy with lie angle, we can toy with shaft droop to move that shaft strike location around the face. That could be a really good option. So to do that, if you haven't got access to a TrackMan or a quad or whatever, get a bit of foot spray, put it on the club face. It will leave a ball mark on where you're impacting. If it's pretty much above the equator on a regular basis, then bringing that strike location down level with the CG or even beneath it will help that spin number go up through gear effect. If you're teeing the ball up really, really high, that could be influencing that strike location. So you might be teeing it up really high in an attempt to get the ball up in the air, but what that might be doing is pushing your strike location higher, taking spin off and adding that dip. So conversely to what you're thinking might be the right way to go, experiment with teeing it down a little bit, because that could influence the strike location going lower on the face, kicking up the spin a little bit more and keeping it in the air longer. So